Long before you walk the aisle at the Tokyo Dome or create a WrestleMania moment, you will learn your craft at a pro wrestling training center. And everything you need to know to get prepared for professional wrestling training is next. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. For over 30 years, I've been working in professional wrestling. I have worked in front of the cameras as a wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator. And I've also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, consultant, and a bunch of other things too. And I bring the sum total of all these experiences, and I serve it up right here to you on Till We Make It. If you're down with that, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. I want you to know exactly what we're going to cover in this video. It's broken up into 3 parts. Here is what we're going to discuss. Number 1, what you need to buy to be prepared for pro wrestling training. Number 2, how you can get your body prepared before you begin training. And lastly, what you can expect once training actually begins. So, here we go. Part 1, what do you need to buy to be prepared for pro wrestling training? I'm not going to be able to keep that voice up. Number 1 with a bullet in this category, do you need to have elbow pads and knee pads to go to wrestling training? No, you don't need to have them, but you should know this. The canvas on most pro wrestling rings is fairly coarse. So, if you are the kind of person who gets scrapes and brush burns, or you bleed very easily, having an extra layer of protection that elbow pads and knee pads can provide isn't the worst idea ever. And if you do get a scrape and start bleeding, you're not going to be able to rejoin class until you stop the bleeding and bandage that all up. I don't know any pro wrestling training center anywhere on earth where they're going to let you just stay in the ring while you're bleeding all over the place through practice. Nobody wants that. Pro wrestling canvases are very expensive, so consider getting elbow pads and knee pads. But do you need them? I don't think so. The only thing I think you need to have when starting pro wrestling training is a pair of wrestling sneakers, or you could wear shoes for boxing. Whatever it is that you get, make sure they provide support for your ankles. And the shoes you get must be flat-soled to be in a wrestling ring. So just to be clear, these are flat soles, but these are not, and neither are these. I do not think you need to invest in wrestling boots when you are starting out. A recommendation for you. Every time I'm training in the ring, I wear a wrestling singlet under my training gear. And if you don't know what I'm referring to by a singlet, I'm talking about one of these. I have a pile of plain wrestling singlets that I cycle through every week that I am training, and it goes on right underneath my training gear. And if you're wondering, Mike, why would you wear that under your training gear? Allow me to explain. About 20 years ago, I was conducting an open house event at the then just opened Wrestle Factory up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And at the end, we put on a short demonstration of professional wrestling. Toward the end of the demo, I did a flying head scissors, and somehow my shorts got caught on my opponent. And at the end of the head scissor, I was essentially pantsed in front of everybody. My shorts just flew off. Ever since that happened at that open house, I wear a singlet underneath my training gear just in case. Part 2. What do you need to work on to prepare yourself for pro wrestling training? Now I know I said at the top of this video, part 2 would be about preparing your body for pro wrestling training, but there's something else, something pretty mission critical we've also got to cover here in part 2. Stay tuned for that. But to frame this conversation, let's be honest. Pro wrestling lives at the intersection of athleticism and performance, and I want to start by addressing the athletic part of that equation. So it would be a smart move to start doing regular calisthenics at home. Do squats and push-ups and burpees and crunches. Have a robust selection Start with modest sets and gradually level up over time. You also need to be doing cardiovascular training. So, run, swim, cycle, do something to get a bit of a cardio workout as well. And newbies often underestimate the value of flexibility, which you will absolutely need in pro wrestling training. So, I bet there's a yoga studio near you that offers the first class for free, or some other kind of promotional gimmick that you can jump on. Go and jump on it. Taking yoga will absolutely limber up your body. And this next bit is essential as far as I'm concerned, so listen carefully. In addition to preparing your body, we've got to do some other preparatory work as well. In the last couple of years, there has been a giant influx of prospective wrestlers who are painfully introverted. But imagine that when they sign up for wrestling, they will magically transform into extroverts. And that is not a realistic expectation. But you will have to be an extrovert when you are performing in the ring. Wrestling lives at the intersection of athleticism and performance. Remember? You're going to have to get comfortable standing up in front of a room full of strangers, basically in your underwear. Sometimes flipping and flying through the ring, and other times speaking to them directly on the microphone. And if the thought of getting up in front of a group of strangers to do public speaking terrifies you, you need to work on that before you sign up for wrestling training, in my opinion. The best way you can do this is a simple Google search. Find a comedy theater near you that offers improv classes. It really is as simple as improv classes near me. And then enroll. This will gradually, step by step, get you prepared for the reality that at some point in your wrestling career, someone is going to stick a microphone in your face and expect you to be able to speak in a compelling way with confidence for several minutes. You will absolutely be called on at some point in time to go out and speak publicly to a room full of strangers as part of your job in professional wrestling. Have no illusions about it. And taking improv classes will help get you prepared for that part of the job. Part 3, once training begins. Here's a hard truth. There is nothing that can prepare you for once pro wrestling training begins. The type of punishment that the ring will deal out to your body is rather unique. Getting chopped, hitting the ropes, being slammed to the mat, no human being is built for that. But over a period, on average, it's 8 weeks long, your body will harden against the abuse that the ring dishes out because it is anti-fragile. But until that happens, get ready for soreness and bruising, for aches and pains in places you didn't even think you could ache. Here's my recommendation. Stay hydrated with electrolytes. Eat protein-rich meals after training. Discover if your body responds to heat or to cold so you can treat sore muscles accordingly. And find a massage therapist near you who specializes in sports massage. You will be calling them soon.